Welcome to Larp Academia, and today we are going to talk about what you get as your final level 6 Druid. Oh, you've been waiting so long to get to this, but you have finally gotten there. Now, I know that you are so excited about archetypes and to see what all this stuff is about you being able to enchant yourself. What? You've only been able to enchant other people, or getting more enchants, or using a bow, even though there's no equipment list for a bow. We'll talk about all that stuff in a bit, but first, let's talk about your other spells, get them out of the way so that we can get to your awesome archetypes. Now, the first spell that we're going to talk about is Call Lightning. You've only had 3 other spells that are ranged. You've had Heat Weapon, Dispel Magic, and Icy Blast. That's not a very impressive repertoire. It's actually less than the amount of spell levels that you have. But you now gain the ability to have another spell that is ranged verbal to affect enemy targets. Now this spell is awesome, and I would say possibly better than all the others. Makes sense, it's 6th level overall. It is Call Lightning. Now, Call Lightning is a flame-based spell that you literally call down a bolt of lightning onto a person. You scorch them, you skewer them, you kill them. I mean, if you're a cannibal, you can eat them later on, who knows? But it's where you go and you kill someone with a bolt of lightning. That is awesome. And what's even more awesome is that you don't have to do this. In previous versions, when you did Call Lightning, you had to assume a stance where basically it magnifies the ability for arrows to hit you in the crotch, and it hurts a lot. But you don't have to do that anymore. You can actually ambulant extension, I call upon, and you just run after someone and then just murder them. You can Call Lightning, kill someone. It's once per refresh. Yes, I know, it kind of sucks. There's no way to abuse this and get infinite one-shot kill spells. That's the only crappy part, and every point you get is a kill as long as you don't do it on someone who has a flame blade or iron skin or some stupid immunity to flame. So Call Lightning is awesome. It does exactly what it intends. It's not unlimited, but it's really cool. It's not a must-have, but it's a really cool spell, and I highly recommend just trying it out a little bit, maybe even one time goofing off and putting all 6 points into Call Lightning, because you just want to have fun zapping people like Zeus. Now, while Call Lightning was a good spell and a good option, we have to get this spell out of the way. This is an enchantment that you get at 6th level, and it's called Grasping Tentacles. Now, Grasping Tentacles is where you become the embodiment of a Cthulhuan monster, and then you have tentacles come out of the ground and grasp people. I mean, it doesn't sound very druidy, but that's because it's never taken by a druid, and it just sucks. The reason why it sucks is while you may like the idea of, wow, I have more ranged verbals, I can have 5 hold persons and I take off a strip each time and it's only just a small little line, not 3 lines like other hold persons. Seems really cool. You remember all the way back in our level 1 video about Corrosive Mist, how it had destroy armor, and aside from the negatives of destroy armor, it made the bearer stopped. Now, the reason why the Heart of the Swarm worked out well is because you affected your allies even though you were stopped. It didn't really matter. This one, you have to be stopped and then go, all right, waiting for someone to get within 20 feet of me. Waiting for, you're stopped now. Ha-ha, we're at an impasse. Because what I did to you as a negative, I have on myself permanent. Which, why would I do that? If I'm trying to make other people stopped and it's a negative to them, why would I want to permanently stop myself and also make it so that I can't stop other people because they're outside of 20 feet? I mean, it's so bad. Why? And it's 6th level magic. Just, no, never take this. Don't consider it. No one should ever consider it. Do not take Grasping Tentacles. It's not even druidy. It's just weird and bad. There's nothing good about it whatsoever. But Wizzo, you're thinking, this is 6th level. This is my ultimate level. And you're like, I want a good enchantment. I don't want some crappy, stupid, freaking Grasping Tentacles, which is, I don't know why that was a thing. Or you don't want a ranged verbal that can kill someone. No, you want an awesome enchantment. And this is a ridiculous enchantment. It is called Naturalize Magic. Now you might be thinking, well, why is this enchantment better than a boom, one-shot kill? Well, Naturalize Magic is the completely anti-druid spell or anti-other enchantment spell. If you are facing a druid and you paid attention to our Why Magic is Overpowered video, you might realize that sometimes the barbarians go up to the reeves and say, I want more fight after death, and the reeves naively give them that and call a refresh. So at 15 minutes, the druids get a refresh, or even at 20 minutes, the druids get a refresh. And while you're starting to run out of spells, all your spells are back. This means all your enchantments are back, and you don't really have a way of losing them. And the other options are Dispel. Now, if you, a druid, are dispelling them through your normal means, Dispel Magic, and you've experienced it, that's pretty good. Okay, I mean, it's charge times 10, and that's kind of harsh. A scout has it once per refresh. A healer might get it once per refresh because it's a 5th level spell, so it's pretty bad. A wizard gets it charge times 3, but it doesn't really counter druids at all or do anything, because if your spells are recharged at 15 minutes, then a battle mage wizard, one who can always cast while moving, will be able to strip away your spells by about the 12-minute mark, as long as they're somewhat diligent. If they're only targeting enchanted people, then 10, maybe at 8 minutes they could do it. But again, that's if they're only dispelling and only looking for people who have enchants. So really, you're going to get your spells back. It's not that big of a deal. The only way to get rid of druid spells in areas that have 15 to 20 minute refreshes are with Naturalize Magic. Now, Naturalize Magic gives you 5 little strips that you get to say, thou art dispelled, and then they're dispelled. You don't have to go through the 3-line incant, which people can run away, make it really hard. Oh, I might have to use Amulet Extension to get it. No. You can just walk and say, Billy, thou art dispelled. What are they going to do with that? They're not going to do anything. You get to dispel 5 people per enchant. And if you take an archetype, which we'll talk about later, that will double your enchants, then you will be able to have 20 dispels. You can dispel an entire druid. This is the way to get rid of druid dispels. It is amazing. It is the best way to dispel magic, and it is the most powerful. It's great. It also works on other classes too, not just druids, but really your main concern is other druids, because if you can make it so that one druid's on one side, one druid's on another side, and one side only really has a druid that's your side because that druid's spells and enchantments are all gone, then yeah, Naturalize Magic's really good. It also strips a whole bunch of other enchants. It is the best way, without a doubt, to dispel magic, and to use dispel magic and strip away enchants. So it is amazing. I would highly recommend taking it just in case. The only time that I would say not is if on the enemy side there's not going to be enchants, which come on. Most classes can enchant, so you might just want to take Naturalize Magic for that. It's a really good enchantment. I would highly recommend it, and it's amazing. Now, a little bit out of alphabetical order, our next enchantment is Imbue Weapon. You like poison at 2nd level, right? You liked it being per life. Yeah, but there's a problem with poison. You have to reapply it. It only goes for that first swing, just poison, yeah! Alright, Druid! And then they try to find you, and you reapply, and like, yeah, I got this, poison! Druid! And then they just keep coming back, and it's kind of annoying. So, Imbue Weapon solves that. It makes all the melee swings wounds kill permanently. So they could go wounds kill, wounds kill, and then they just keep going wounds kill. Now, put this on a polearm, a person who's good, maybe your golem, or someone who has a tuned stone skin. I mean, it's nasty. It's really nasty and awesome. So you might be thinking that this is an awesome enchantment, and it is. That's why it's purple. But there's a problem. Whenever anyone says Imbue Weapon, then when they go in and they swing, that puts a huge target on them because it's a really good enchantment. So instead of saying that, they could just say wounds kill. This is a little technicality for it for most people. Some may call it a gray area, but the majority of places that I've been to and the majority of places that I've heard about will accept wounds kill when you say the enchantment declaration before you attack. Now, there is another enchantment that has this. It's called poison. Assassins and you can give per life poison. Now, instead of making your Imbue Weapons bearer a target of Dispel Magic, which we just talked about, then what you could do is you could do a little tip that I learned from a Paragon Druid. You enchant, let's say, 3, 4, maybe 5 people with poison, put an Imbue weapon with them, and then you have 6 people walk up and say, wounds kill. Now, if 6 people are walking up and saying wounds kill, I don't want to fight that. Even if I have armor, it's going to get knocked off and I'll just die by some stupid sheep shot. I mean, wounds kill's annoying to face. 6 people? That's stupid. What's worse is that if I'm trying to dispel that Imbue weapon, one of those 6 people has Imbue weapon. Which one? Well, there's a 1 in 6 chance that I get the right person. So I'm not going to dispel usually. Dispel's a little bit of a pain to get back. Even for a charge times 3, it's a bit annoying to get it out instead of just, killing a person as a wizard or something. So, I mean, you could naturalize magic, but you're using your 5 strips on potentially per life enchants. It's not a good look for any dispel magic person doing this. So normally everyone's just going to back off and walk away, and this not only saves the person who has Imbue weapon, but it makes it so that you have an awesome 6-man death row or 4-man death row, whatever, going out. And then when one person just keeps saying wounds kill, wounds kill, wounds kill in melee, I mean, by then it's pretty much too late for most dispelling people, and people are gonna die. People are gonna die a lot. So that's a good way to keep Imbue weapon up and running. That's just how powerful Imbue weapon is. I mean, wounds kill on every strike is pretty awesome. Now to our last spell. You liked Greater Mending, right? No, not really. It was kind of red for a reason. Well, we have a cool one. First off, most people would say it's purple because it's fun to say, the enchant. All you have to do is say, spadoinkle! But we have to really look at this enchant. You have Mend. You're probably going to experience Mend. You probably have a lot of Mends. If a person comes up to you, they might have 2 to 3 points of armor gone because, well, again, no one wears armor, and their only armor that they're wearing is probably based on what you give them. They might wear a gambeson. Now, while it is possible that someone comes up to you and says, oh man, I'm out of all my points everywhere, the likelihood of that happening is low. In fact, they're more likely to be dead than that happening. They're more likely to be dead than having someone come back and say, oh man, I'm 5 points down. That's unlikely. At most, usually it's like 2, 3, and they have to ask you then, which is another problem. So Spadoinkle, it kind of has a little bit of an issue there. Now, Spadoinkle is good if a warrior comes to you in plate and says, man, I used my True Grit and I'm down like 12 points. Yeah, Spadoinkle. Spadoinkle repairs the armor on all sections to the max. It is amazing. It is freaking good in those circumstances. Now, again, it's all in those circumstances. The likelihood of it really changing the game or really being worth the 6th level slot is honestly not as high as most people would like for people who really love this spell. And there's a crowd that just loves this spell, says it's purple, it's always useful. And I get the idea that if you are trailing your golem and they're down 3 points and they're fighting someone and you just say Spadoinkle, then they're able to get all their armor points back while fighting. You don't have to take the time to mend every single section. I get that. And that is potentially useful. It might even be green or possibly blue if you're doing that. But the reason why it's orange is because you really need to consider who am I enchanting? Who am I following? What am I doing with my whole gameplay? And is this spell able to fit me? That's not an average like, oh, I can take it and I should be fine. It's really I have to consider, should I take this spell? It's good if it's doing what I want to do. But while it is fun to say Spadoinkle, you have to be cautious when saying that this is a wonderful spell. Now on to your archetypes. Oh, baby, what you've been wanting for this entire time. Well, let's get into them and why you would want to pick these archetypes. Now, Avatar of Nature. It is green. Surprise, I know. You have gone through this entire journey of a druid. You've gotten all the way to 6th level and you've only been able to enchant others, but now you can say, hey, those are all mine. I can't enchant you anymore. And then you go out as a monster. Just, I have poison attuned stone skin. It's great. And you can get a true power high from Avatar of Nature. But when you look at it, in all things, it's not the most powerful archetype. Now, why is this? Avatar of Nature lets you have enchantments level 1 through 4 become self instead of others. This means you don't have the option of, oh man, I should probably give you a stone skin. No, they're all you. You can't be like, oh, I want lycanthropy to be given to you. Oh, I can make that imbue weapon person have 4 poisoned people with them. No, they're all you. Poison is you. You can't do that. It takes away a lot of your options, but it allows your enchants to be with you. Now, you might be thinking, Wizzo, that's still levels 1 through 4 that I put on me, which is pretty great, right? And yes, it is. It is amazingly powerful if you want to go out on a small park where there's only 5 people, no one has dispels. It's wonderful. You're the big one. You're the boss monster, pretty much, where you can go out and murder every person. Yeah, that's great. But when you consider it on even a medium-sized battlefield, when there's 10 people on each team, there's probably someone who has dispels. Now, normally when we talk about Druid enchantments, they run out like around 15 minutes-ish, whatever. When you split that up in levels 1 through 4 on you, well, they'll run out a lot quicker. They'll run out about maybe 8 minutes, because once you put enchantments on yourself as a Druid, there's an extra target on you. There's an extra target from anyone who's disenchanting, that they always kind of eye that Druid to see, is this Druid enchanted? Because if they are, then I'm going to keep targeting them if possible. I'm going to make sure other people know about them, because Druids enchanting themselves to become the boss person, the superhuman, is actually kind of stereotypical, because, I mean, who doesn't want to be selfish? So people keep an eye out for that, and then they'll try to strip you of your enchants. And honestly, in a game when I was my wizard versus versus 2 other Avatar of Nature Druids, before the 5-minute mark, they were out of enchants. So that's the problem. Your bright flame is now split between 2 candles, and I mean, you're more selfish, so you don't help your team, and you're more of a target. And since you've centered more of your enchantments on yourself, it makes it so that it's less impactful. So on a bigger field, Avatar of Nature is not as good. And what's even better is when you have another Druid to enchant you. We'll talk about that in a sec, but then you'll be able to get more enchants overall. And honestly, if you are on a small field, it is amazing. It's blue to purple. It makes you a god. But if you're on a bit bigger field, even a medium-sized field, especially in a big camp out, it's not that great of an ability. I would not recommend Avatar of Nature. Then I would actually put it in the orange or red. That's why it's green. It shifts so dramatically depending on where you're playing, which is kind of the joy of archetypes. You get to customize your list for whatever you're doing. But if you are in a small field, you can literally become a god and almost unkillable. It's stupid and powerful. So yes, Avatar of Nature is amazing, but you need to decide if it's right for you and for what game you're playing. Now, as I was talking about the other Druids enchanting each other, well, there is an archetype that kind of helps you out, and that is Summoner. Now, Summoner, you can't use verbals greater than a range of touch. Ooh, that sucks. Those are some negatives. That's why it's not a purple. But here's the thing. You know how we've stated all your enchantments, how you've realized, man, there's a lot of enchantments out there. Well, it restricts verbals greater than the range of touch, which is 4 verbals. So if you go out there with a short sword and a small shield, or 2 short swords, you are getting the benefit still of doubling all your enchantments. So if I purchase 1 stone skin, I've got 2. Now max stone skin is 2, so if I purchase 2 stone skins, I now have 4 stone skins. Which, oof, buddy, that would be nice. Imagine Avatar of Nature, just, I have 4 stone skins, 4 poisons per life, and I just go out and murder people. Well, it's awesome. It is pretty awesome. And it really does help the vast majority of your spells. You're doubling most of your spells in order, with this archetype. The negatives are there, but again, the fact of doubling your spells is pretty good, especially if you have another Druid on your team. Yes, you get your small shield and your short sword or 2 short swords, but you're then just getting a bunch of enchantments, maybe a heal and a release, as well as a mend experience, and Let's go with 2 other spells, Ice Ball and Entangle. Yeah, sure, you've got like 15 points spent on your other stuff, but the other 15 points are doubled. So you have 30 enchants with everything else, which is stupid. You're about a level, well, you have about 45 points, about-ish. I mean, you're level 9 druid kind of at that point. So summoner does have the most potential to be the most powerful archetype that you have. You do really want another druid so you can enchant each other, is another caveat. Otherwise, you're just like that guy who enchants the entire team, which, while being cool, I mean, you've been doing that for 6 levels. I mean, you want to somehow get enchant as well. So it is an amazing archetype. I would say by far that it is your best archetype, but it does have negatives, and it does have times where you really need to consider, should I take this? And while it does make you think, oh, should I take this? You still probably do want to, because it's a really good archetype. Now on to your last archetype. Have you ever wanted to shoot a bow as a druid? Well, I mean, you can't. There's no way you can buy it on the equipment list. Well, that's true, unless you cheat with this archetype. Now, ranger, the real reason why people pick ranger is not because it makes all your equipment free, but because it lets you shoot a bow. And I mean, shooting a bow is fun. You can sit back and you can just shoot people with a bow, and I'll be honest with you here. Ranger, the negative, doubling your enchantment cost, the exact opposite of summoner, is pretty harsh. Now, you could do ranger and summoner, and yes, you can link archetypes together. You can link together ranger and summoner and make it so that, yeah, your equipment cost is free, so you're taking a polearm and everything, but your spells are doubled. So if you spend 2 points on stone skin, you gain 2 stone skins, because a stone skin costs 2 points, but you double it, so you get 2. I know it starts to get a little confusing, but you can mix and match. You can also have ranger and avatar of nature, but again, you doubled your enchantment costs, so I don't really know. Even a summoner with avatar of nature might be a bit better, although I haven't seen that happen a lot, and I can understand why from most druids' point of views. But since they want to enchant others and not the strength of summoner. But again, when you get into ranger, the main benefit you're getting is you have a bow. That's really the reason why you'd want to pick this archetype. You could say that, oh, my pole's free. Well, you could just go as a normal druid, get a pole, and probably have more spell slots for everything else. There isn't much of a reason to pick ranger aside from a bow. It's cool to have a whole bunch of items, different equipment pieces. I have a small shield, I have extra swords, I have a pole if I need to, I have a bow to shoot people. Yeah, you're basically a wannabe martial class then. Play a scout, because a scout has probably about as many options as you do. Well, you might have a bit more, and I guess that's why you want to play a ranger, to be a bit better scout. But honestly, you're not doing yourself a favor, and it doesn't help your spell list. It doesn't really mix with it very well, which is why ranger is not that powerful and rarely taken. It's only taken if people want a bow. I can't emphasize this enough. But that alone is a good enough reason, because killing you from this distance with a pole, yeah, that's great. Killing you from 100 feet away, yeah, that's even better. And that's if you're a decent archer, probably about 60 feet away. But still, there's a good gap in between that. And shooting people is fun. I mean, shooting people is always fun. So that is the reason, really, why you'd want to take ranger. Now, you've been with us through this journey. You've been with us all the way through 6 levels of druid, and you have become enlightened. You've not only learned about your spells, but you have learned if spells are actually good, or if they're you don't have to go through the learning curve of, man, guys, I'm going to take some grasping tentacles and see how that works. No, you don't need to go through that. You can already have some extra tips about Imbue weapon being cheap and just sending extra people out. You don't need to go through the learning curve of taking months to realize, man, I only need to take Ranger if I want a bow, or an Avatar of Nature is not as good on a big battlefield, or Summoner with another Druid's really overpowered. You don't have to go through all that because we've gone over those basics here. Now, I would love to hear what you think of Druid, all your 6th level spells, all your archetypes. What's your favorite spell? What's your favorite archetype? And more importantly, any other tips that you have on Druid, especially if you're a Paragon out there. We would love to hear your thoughts on Druid in the comments down below, because let's be honest, anyone who's gotten to 6th level at this point is possibly looking for advice from a Paragon. So this is the video where Paragons, I would highly recommend that you give your input in the comments down below. Now, I hope you love Druid. I love Druid. Druid's amazing, and I hope to see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can stay up to date, keep seeing more of these awesome videos, and I mean, you're 6th level. You might want to start leveling another class. So, until next time, keep LARPing, and have a great time playing Druid.